I've been in the book industry for over 20 years, and it seems for some reason or other, it is an industry that is constantly under assault and perceived to be on the edge of ruin. Well, the fabulous people on this panel today are going to show you that the book industry is alive and well. This isn't to say that things haven't changed in the book world over the past 20 years. Many things have changed. But I'm also very pleased to say that one constant in the book world over the past couple decades is the media presence of John Mutter, who will be moderating today's panel. John Mutter is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of the brilliant daily newsletter ShelfAwareness. John was also the longtime executive editor of Bookselling at Publishers Weekly and executive editor of the former e-newsletter PW Daily for booksellers. If you're interested in books and bookstores, I can't urge you strongly enough to sign up for ShelfAwareness by going to the website, www.shelf-awareness.com. Without further ado, I'll turn the stage over to John, who will introduce this panel of wonderful and talented book professionals who I know will offer you great insight into the ever-changing world of the book business. John.
Thank you, Gene. I've been called a lot of things, but I don't think I've ever been called a constant, so thanks. But welcome to the independent bookselling panel. I want to start off by saying that if there's anything you take away from this session, it should be that contrary to current perceived wisdom, one, independent stores are not dying and are not going the way of the dinosaur, and two, ebooks are not taking over the book world and won't replace all printed books. To put that more positively, while independent bookstores went through a difficult period in the 90s and the first decade of this century, they're doing much better now. During this hour, I hope you'll get a sense of all the dynamic positive things that are happening and the continuing challenges that booksellers face, and that help make many of them even better booksellers than they are already. First, I'm going to give a quick overview of independent bookselling. Then I'll introduce our panelists who represent a nice range in the business. We have a relatively new bookseller, a veteran bookseller, and a sales rep who sells to bookstores. And they're all really smart and very nice. Each of the panelists will talk a moment about an issue of particular importance to them. Then we'll have a general conversation about some key issues. And if we have time at the end, we'll have questions and answers. So, of course, you've all heard the bad news about bookselling that Gene referred to. The general media narrative is stuck on several things that are either not the whole story or are out of date. Major elements of that view focus on the Borders collapse 2 years ago, fears of something similar happening to Barnes & Noble, digital books and Amazon taking over the book world, ebooks replacing printed books completely, and indies dying out. But this isn't the way a lot of us see things. There's a lot of good news about independent bookselling. Sales at independent bookstores are up. Many stores had their best year ever last year, and sales continue to be strong this year. Quite a few indies are opening branches. In fact, in ShelfAwareness on Friday, we had 3 separate stories about independent bookstores either having just opened or going to open a branch. The new stores are popping up again at a healthy rate, and they tend to be run by people who are very well prepared and business oriented, in contrast to a few decades ago. Stores with owners wanting to retire are no longer closing. Instead, they're finding buyers who have been able to take over the reins and improve the stores. And one excellent example close to home is Politics Prose. After a long period of decline, membership in the American Booksellers Association, the main trade association of independent bookstores, has increased the last several years. Rather than replacing printed books, ebooks are starting to look like they will be a variation of format for books, particularly popular with some genres like fiction, but not others. And studies and anecdotal evidence are finding that a hybrid model is developing, with many people reading both printed and ebooks depending on the type of book, where they are, and other factors. And some people are even returning to printed books after trying ebooks, which is what happened with me. Also, the rate of sales growth for ebooks is leveling off from the somewhat stratospheric levels of a year or two ago. At the same time, many indies are now able to compete in the digital arena by selling ebooks and other products in the new ABA partnership with Kobo, which is, I've heard referred to as the most famous ebook retailer that you've never heard of. They're very big outside the United States, and hopefully they'll be bigger here now. Another issue, sales tax fairness. This involves requiring large internet retailers to collect sales tax, something all bricks and mortar stores do, but most internet companies have avoided, which gives them a major competitive advantage with price-conscious consumers. A federal bill requiring sales tax collection by large internet sellers has just passed the Senate. And if it makes it through the House, President Obama has said that he'll sign it. In the meantime, quite a few states have either passed similar laws or have made deals with Amazon and other internet sellers to collect sales tax. The buy local movement has begun to influence consumers. On the national level, that the ABA has supported buy local efforts and worked with other interested national groups. At the local level, many indie bookstores are partnering with other indie retailers to promote an awareness among consumers of the importance of locally owned businesses through joint advertising, publicity, and events. In a related trend, many indies have become even more important in their communities. They're making a very conscious effort to partner with schools, nonprofits, religious groups, community groups, and more. What is called discoverability has become a major issue in publishing and bookselling. This has to do with most people who go online find that it's really easy to find a book if you know what you want to buy in advance, but it's not a great place to find new books. Bricks and mortar bookstores remain one of the key places consumers learn about new books, and indies are particularly good at this. With the collapse of borders and the growth of sales online, the role of indies in helping consumers discover books has become ever more important. So having weathered so much, indie booksellers are better business people, and some have branched out into publishing, printing, joint ventures, doing more and more off-site events, and both Books and Books and Politics and Prose are great examples of this. So on to the panelists. I want to start with Chris Kerr, who has worked in bookselling, in book publishing for 37 years. For roughly the first half of that period, he held sales and marketing management positions with Oxford University Press, Blackwell Publishing, Little Brown, Houghton Mifflin, and Walden Books. In 1997, he founded Parson Weems, a commission rep group that sells trade and scholarly press books to bookstores in the Northeast. Spends a lot of his time on the road visiting stores in the region. I've known Chris for way too many years and can attest that under the stereotypical cynical, gruff sales rep exterior is a cynical, gruff sales rep, but with a heart of gold. I'm counting on him to give a little reality check from time to time, and maybe he can take a few minutes and talk about how sausages are made in the book business.
First, just big shout out to City of Gaithersburg. It says a lot about your community that you can organize this. I think logistics would be impossible without the full support of your municipal government, and I go to a lot of these affairs, and I'm just so impressed by the level of detail and the congeniality and also the support for authors, and thank you very much. I graduated from high school in this area, Wakefield High School in Arlington. I'm going to my 48th reunion tonight. The school is being raised on its 60th anniversary to be replaced by a new school. But, when I grew up here, there was no Beltway. Tyson's Corner was a gas station and a flashing light. My high school was the subject of the largest school integration case the country had ever seen, when the county was forced by the courts to close the black high school in South Arlington. After I came back from the Army and finished college, I got my first sales rep job here, so I just always feel very lucky to be able to come back to the Washington area, especially because it's always just been such a terrific, congenial bookselling community. In very broad fashion, I want to just hit three themes, one of which is survival strategies that are keeping independent bookstores going today and many of them thriving. Some of the new booksellers out there who are making it really, really exciting, more exciting than I can ever remember. and some of the opportunities I think that are out there for retail books.